Invest in their dreams, get your cream by any means, and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kiss goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. My name is Ursula, and I'm a Black girl getting my shift together. Every day I work on trying to better myself, and I hope you all can come and join with me. All right, before we get into the pod, let's take care of some housekeeping. Please make sure and follow me on all social media. Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, as well as the website, blackgirlsgettingtheirshifttogether.com. And for those listening on the audio podcast, I so appreciate all the support. You all are really coming out. I appreciate it. Give your girl a review. I won't be mad if it's a 5-star review either. All right, we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes. Tonight, we are talking about emotional eating. I have a beautiful guest in the waiting room, and I'm going to bring her out right now.
Hi.
Hey, Gabby, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am so good. I'm so glad we finally got on.
I know it's been it feels like it's been a while since we've talked and since we kind of talked about, doing this. So I'm excited to be here.
I am very excited. I will just say this. Before you've been on, you've already had people triggered about this emotional eating. Folks have been jumping in my DMs from my social media.
I love it. Yes.
Oh my goodness. How was your day today?
It has been a productive day, but a long day. But I'm blessed to be here. And so I really don't have any complaints. This is how I get to end my night. So it's a good night.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for saying yes.
Of course.
And I'll just let you know your DMs are probably going to be blowing up after this because you're already getting people triggered.
All right, let's do it. I love to chat with you all in the DM. So yeah, hit me up.
All right, let's get right into it. So tonight's topic, as if everyone did not know, is emotional eating. But before we get into the emotional eating, can you just let everybody know a little of your background? I know you are a fitness trainer, but how'd you get into that?
Yeah, so I'm actually a retired fitness trainer. I was a fitness trainer for 10 years. It was a side hustle for a majority of the year. So just to kind of go all the way back, I got my bachelor's. I'm originally from Mississippi, got my bachelor's in speech and hearing sciences. And at the time, fitness wasn't on my radar. I didn't really get into fitness until my junior year in college. I gained over 30 pounds in less than 1 year. And so I started going to the gym, and that's when I really started to fall in love with fitness. And so that began back in 2012, 2013.
Right.
And that's how I got my start. And so from then on, I was training on the side. And then about 5 years ago, I decided to go full-time fitness training.
Really?
And I actually just retired at the beginning of this year, and I decided to do emotional eating coaching all the way. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. So I actually got my start with my own health and fitness journey.
That's amazing. Okay, we already coming in. I'm going to ask you what made you pivot into the emotional eating as a coach. But before we do that, I'm going to put up a graphic. Everyone listening, Here's a quick question. One has to go. And Abby, you can chime in also. One
Ooh,
must go. Since we're talking about emotional eating, you all can put your comments in the chat. One must go. And for people listening on the podcast, we have sushi, nachos, McDonald's fries, and bacon. One
I
must go.
I would say for me probably the McDonald's fries. Even though
Really?
I am not a huge sushi eater, I'm extremely picky. I have to I'm a texture person, right? So I don't really like the texture of seaweed. So when I do eat sushi, I have to like take the whole seaweed out. It's a whole thing. But if anything, I would say McDonald's fries. Because I do like sushi. It's just it's a whole thing for me to eat it.
See, for me, it would be bacon just because I don't eat pork,
Okay.
but sushi would definitely be the next one to go. All
Yeah.
right, here's another one. One must go. Donuts, ice cream, popcorn, or potato chips.
Ooh.
And everyone listening on the podcast as well as this live stream, put your comments in the thread as well.
I would say for me probably popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have it. I just don't eat it as often as I do the rest of them. I
I
love
agree.
donuts and ice cream and potato chips.
It's so good. So good.
So good.
All right, our last one. One must go. Cookies. Let's see. What is those? Chips, candy, and
Or
cereal. That's
yeah.
a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, cereal for me.
Yeah. Wow, we must have the same kind of
I
palate.
think so. I don't drink milk though, so it almost defeats the purpose to
Yeah,
eat.
I don't drink milk either. And
Yeah.
probably, yeah, I don't want to tell my age. No. All right. So, yeah, a lot of people, hey, cuppy cakes. A lot of people are saying cereal,
Yeah.
chips, ice cream. Okay. And someone doesn't eat McDonald's either. And Corinthia, who you see, she's also from Mississippi, she says.
Awesome.
Corinthia, you can put which part of
Yeah, what part
Mississippi.
are you from?
Let's see. Yeah, she says small world from
Yeah.
Mississippi. All right.
Awesome.
So while we wait on her response, what made you want to pivot into becoming an emotional eating coach?
Great question. I think a couple years ago, I started to notice a pattern with my health journey as well as with a lot of my clients' health journey. And I'm sure that a lot of you all can probably relate to this is that there's this cycle of losing weight and gaining weight. You lose weight just to regain it, right? And a lot of it is due to us consistently dieting. Like it's one moment we're on a good track and then the next moment we're off. And so I started to notice a gap between the two, like what's really causing for us to really falter in this area. And I realized that it really had nothing to do with our fitness because it's easy to go to the gym, right? We can work out 3, 4 times a week and automatically, we think that, oh, then that will automatically, get me to my health goal. But it was the eating piece that was really
Mm,
holding a lot of that was holding me back, but also a lot of my clients. And that's when I really started to shift and really not talk about it from the typical way that everybody would talk about it, which is through, you know, trying this diet or the next diet or the next diet, but really getting to the root of what's the
mm,
real issue. Because the real issue is not the food, the real issue is how we're using it. And so that's when I started to really I'm looking at her comment. That's when I really started to see that there's a big gap there that nobody's really talking about, and it's this emotional eating piece that really holds a lot of us back.
yes. As I take a deep breath.
Yes.
I agree. I don't know if you saw some of the memes I've been posting on social media about how I found it's easier or when I found out it's easier to talk about my emotions as opposed to eating my emotions.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the case for a lot of us, just simply because we haven't been taught other ways to self-soothe. And so food is the thing that we turn to because that's what we learned in our households, or maybe we it's just convenient for a lot of people.
Yes. One of my Facebook friends, she's on now, Keisha,
Mhm.
she had said how food is how people bond,
Mhm.
especially us as Black
Yep.
folks, the soul food, the comfort
Yep.
food, and it's socially acceptable as
Mhm.
opposed to having a crack pipe at the table
Yep.
or, some kind of illicit drugs. It's
Mhm.
just easier to fry a whole turkey
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
chicken and everything else that comes with it.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah,
It's
and
so
it's ingrained in our culture, and so I think that that's a another way as to why it's so difficult to break emotional eating, because we do it with family, right? That's why we can't wait for
Ooh.
Thanksgiving to come around, is because, and also we can't neglect that there's a nostalgic feeling whenever you're around certain people and you have certain foods, right? I remember exactly my mom's fixing all the good stuff, right? My grandmother used to make banana pudding every family gathering, right? And so even though she's no longer with us, I can still sometimes find myself craving, banana pudding. And it's not because it's the food, but it's because I'm seeking the feeling that I used to feel whenever the banana pudding was around, right? So
Mhm.
again, it's going back to that emotional pull. What was happening in that space,
Mhm.
whenever that food was there, who was there, what environment were you in, like that all impacts the way that we eat.
So are there any other facets to what emotional eating is?
Yeah, so when you say facets, would you like different types of emotional eating?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think emotional eating is like the overarching thing, but emotional eating looks like you overeating, meaning that you eat past being full. You know that you should eat, but you just continue to eat. It feels like you can't stop yourself. Binge eating, which is you eating a large amount of food in a small amount of time. Dieting is also a form of emotional eating because you're restricting your food. Another form of emotional eating is eating when you're tired, eating when you're bored. Essentially, emotional eating is eating something so that you don't have to deal with the emotion. Maybe you're eating because you're overwhelmed, so you're eating so because you're trying to distract yourself from being overwhelmed, right? But a lot of us don't recognize that because we're just not thinking about food in that way.
Okay, I have a question. You
Yeah,
just piqued my interest when you said dieting can be emotional eating as well.
yeah.
How?
Yeah, because think about it. Have you ever been on a diet?
For the past 80 years.
Okay, okay, okay. So what's the feeling that you feel whenever you're about to start a new diet?
Oh, I feel a range of emotions. I feel excited, overwhelmed, sometimes irritated. Sometimes I'm really hyped up about it.
Hmm.
And then at times I feel burnt out with
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have all of these ranges of emotions that happens, and for a lot of us, starting something new can be exciting, right? Like I'm about to start this new diet. I'm extremely excited, and we're great for the first week, and then it gets monotonous. Everything starts to kind of settle down. The excitement dies down. Then you find yourself restricting yourself and all of these things, but then you find yourself going back to what you were already doing, right? And so you have this high of emotions of where you're extremely excited about doing something, everything gets boring again, you go straight back into that place of emotional eating. So it's this cycle that happens of excitement, not so excited, and then because I don't have tools, I go right back into the same eating patterns that I was already in. And then I try another diet, which is also a thing of me emotionally eating. And so it just continues to perpetuate.
I'm already triggered. Damn it. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God. So it's a cycle,
yeah,
and it's not always a
it
good
is.
cycle.
No, it's not. And unfortunately, we're sold these things through social media, and of course, like the companies aren't going to tell you that, hey, this is what you really need to focus on, because they want you to continue to buy the diet plans and the 8 week plans and go on keto and do all of these extreme things, that only if you were to just set some boundaries in place and learn some skills on how to actually manage your emotions, it could fix all of that. All the things that we're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on every year to get our bodies together, it really just takes us, like, really just asking ourselves a few questions before we eat, right? Am I hungry? If I'm not really hungry, what do I really need? There you go.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to the learning the tools part.
Hmm.
That's where the hot sauce is.
Yes.
Other than financially, how can emotional eating be harmful?
Yeah. I believe that it directly impacts the way you show up, right?
What do you mean?
When I say show up, I mean the way you show up in the world. Do you show up as this confident woman? Do you show up as this woman who is um, maybe insecure about the way that she looks? Or do you show up as this woman who is always shrinking back instead of standing up? Like, I believe that your eating habits impact everything, because think about it, whatever you do in one area of your life, every aspect of your life is going to be impacted. So yes, you may be
Can you give an
emotionally,
example?
yeah. So yeah, you may be emotionally eating, but maybe that's also meaning that you're eating out a lot, so that you're spending more money, so that maybe your finances aren't in alignment because of this eating thing, right? Or maybe now, because you're emotionally eating, maybe that's impacting your relationships, or maybe that's impacting the way that you deal with people on your job, or even in your romantic, or even if you're a wife or a mom. So I believe that it impacts every aspect of your life, because it impacts the way that you show up, right? So for
Mhm.
if you're not, if you're emotionally eating, one connection that I have found for a lot of women is that there's also this thing of body image, right? And so
Mm.
for some women who do overeat, they don't feel confident in their body. And whenever you don't feel confident in your body, how often are you actually, for example, uh, how often are you taking up for yourself in your job, or are you just kind of letting people
Oh.
walk over you, right? Because you're insecure. Or how often are you not really paying, how often are you spending time with your children, or are you giving that more time than what you need instead of focusing on self-care? So it
Ooh.
impacts the way that you show up, because it's not allowing for you to show up as the full version of yourself. It impacts your energy. So how can you show up as a full version of yourself if you don't have energy? Because you've overeaten, because you're lethargic. So it really does impact every aspect of your life, your finances, your relationships. Do you know how to set boundaries? It impacts everything.
Wow. Mind blown already. Any of the listeners, if you have questions, I see people are coming into the chat. Post your questions. Gabby will definitely answer. She's full of all these gems. And if anything resonates with you, make sure drop your light bulb emojis in the comment section. So I have a coach with my group therapy that I go to,
Mm-hmm.
and she has spent an extensive amount of time talking about the drama triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Really has opened up my mind. And she had mentioned in one of our group therapy sessions that overeating slash emotional eating is part of a drama triangle as well.
Mm.
I did not know. She said it's a rescue.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Sarita,
Yeah.
Yvonne. A lot of you have seen her on the channel. But yeah, I never knew that. But it makes sense because now
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, how we use the food for the comfort level.
Absolutely.
And so with the 3 points of the drama triangle, there's the rescuer, victim, and
Mm-hmm.
persecutor. And then she
Mm.
said that's where the
That's
emotional
really
eating,
good.
isn't
It
it?
is. It is. Because when I think about stress eating, it's a part of that drama triangle when you think about it. So whenever women are, or people in general, are under high amounts of stress, there's a hormone that's released that's called cortisol, right? And so when
Mm,
cortisol is released into your body, you go into fight or flight mode. It's either you stand up and you actually stand 10 toes down and you fight against whatever's going on, or you flee. And when you flee, oftentimes is that you're fleeing to food instead of sitting and dealing with your emotions during the time. And so you can
exactly.
become the victim in that moment if you allow yourself to, instead of you actually dealing with the stressor that's going on or finding a different way to self soothe yourself, you run
Mhm.
away from it. And what we typically run to is food or something that's not really productive.
Absolutely. And as you were speaking, part of that drama triangle, going back to the cycle that you talked about with the eating cycle.
Hmm.
So then we emotionally eat, then we feel bad,
Yeah,
and then we eat some more because we feel bad. So it's in a sense we're persecuting ourselves for overeating, for emotionally eating, and the persecuting, that's part of the drama triangle as well.
absolutely.
So it's still continuous.
Absolutely. Yep,
Oh, wow.
absolutely.
So we have a question for you from Sarinthia. She wants to know if you're taking new clients.
I am Sarinthia. I am. Would you, can I give my information or?
Girl, I
I'll,
hope so.
so what I'll
Yes.
do, Sarinthia, is I will, I'll give my information to, should I give it to you, Ursula?
Well, we're gonna post it at the
Okay,
end, and I'm
perfect.
gonna post a live link, and I can do that as well now while
Yep.
we're talking about it. And everyone who's listening, Gabby, she did say she is taking new clients.
Hmm.
I put her info in the comment section, in the description box, excuse me. So anytime you go back to listen to this YouTube channel, it's a live link and it's live right now. You can go ahead and click right on it.
Yep.
And
And
don't
also,
worry,
that's my Instagram as well, if you want to shoot me a direct message.
yes. And
That
if
works.
you look at the ticker tape scrolling at the bottom of the screen, you'll see Gabby's Instagram right there, Gabby Athletics. And I'm going to drop that in the chat section as well. If we're going to talk about all that, I want you to drop everything because people, we need to know. You
Yeah, I
know,
agree.
we have another comment. Keisha said, guilty of fleeing and going to food.
Hmm. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that, and I think this is the most simple thing that we could ever do for ourselves, is just being aware. Because a lot of what happens with our eating is habitual, right? And so we've created habits of emotional eating, and it
Mm,
serves us in some way, right? So whenever we're eating, we don't really think about, why am I eating this food, or why am I craving this in the moment? And so it's a habitual thought. So thank you for saying that, because I think awareness is like one of the biggest things that you can actually start off with, is you actually recognizing that I am emotionally eating right now. So now I need to figure out where to go from here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff. All right, everyone. I just posted Gabby's contact information right there, as well as her Instagram as well. So you can just click on it. But stay right here right now so you can listen to all the gems that she's dropping. And Pink Dynamite, you're never late to the show. Never late. And I love what Cuppy Cake said. Food is always my comfort.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get transparent. I'm going to
Yeah.
share a story.
Yeah.
I have mentioned it only one time, but I'm going to mention it again and then I'll blow up this live so nobody can hear it again. Okay. So I had this revelation during my group therapy when we were talking about the drama triangle, and she touched on the emotional eating somewhat. And I literally had this flashback from when I was a child. So my childhood, but when there was a lot of disruption in the home, I can vividly remember, and it could be with either parent, whenever the disruption happened, the situations and the yelling and all that. I remember we would go out to eat after.
Hmm. Mhm.
And then I remember one of my parents, okay, well, come on, we're gonna go and we're gonna go to such and such restaurant. And then we will go and to some place for the entree, then we will go for the snacks, and then
Mhm.
we will go home. And subconsciously that was ingrained. It literally was etched in my brain like some acid on glass. It was just etched. And I suppressed that memory, I guess because it wasn't traumatic.
Mhm.
However, when she started talking about the emotional eating, and it popped in my head how we used food, how my parents used food as a comfort,
Mhm.
and then it just, that's what I knew. It trickled down to me.
Yeah.
And we didn't grow up about around the big mama, we didn't do that, but it was our daily routine. It
Mhm.
wasn't, we didn't have to wait for Thanksgiving for the comfort feeling of food.
Mhm.
When that came into my head, my jaw just dropped. I could not believe that.
Yeah.
And little did I know now at my age that that's binge eating. That's emotional eating. I feel that it is binge eating. What do
Yeah.
you think? You're the expert.
Well,
Would that be
let me ask you this. How does it show up in your life now? Like what patterns can you identify that kind of mimic what you did as a child?
ah so if I'm bored, early on when I started my therapy sessions, I didn't realize that I was releasing. So sometimes I would come home and I would eat,
Mhm.
but I wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
I wasn't hungry, or I'll snack.
Mhm.
And I just wasn't hungry. And then I would fool and trick myself and think, well, you're just going to snack on these oranges. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm still having the oral fixation.
Yeah. Yep.
Girl.
No, I love that example because I that's where the root of a lot of our eating habits come from. They either come from childhood or they come from difficult places in our lives. Not even it doesn't have to be difficult, but it may have come from also a transition in life, right? And so with our childhood, we have to look at and question, how was I raised as a kid? What was the narrative around food, right? Did I have to sit at the table and complete my entire plate before I was able to leave the dinner table? Did I have to finish my plate before I had dessert? Was I rewarded with food if I got straight A's? Or did something happen to that made me draw to food? Because I have even had cases where some of my clients have been in a place of where they were touched as a child, and
Yeah.
in order to not be in that place with that particular individual anymore, or to not to want to kind of fight away from that person, they would eat, right? So they would run to food,
Yeah.
hoping that that would make them more unattractive. And how that translates as an adult is that now I overeat and I'm not understanding why. And some of
Yeah.
that is rooted in our childhood experiences, the way that we saw food, the way food was communicated with to us, and all those things. So you're probably seeing the habits that you have now are just mimicking what you saw as a child,
It
right? So
was.
now your parents use food to distract you from the bigger issue. So now you may be using food to distract yourself from issues that you have in your life.
Woo.
So it just continues until we again become aware and then take those steps to actually try and uproot some of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
You said something that was very key. What are your thoughts on parents or grandparents who reward their kids with food, or making sure that they sit at the table until they finish their plate?
Yeah, I think that it's a very dangerous weave that we weave,
Yeah.
because it's teaching them subconsciously that this is how it's supposed to work, that this is how you interact with food, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you, even if you think about whenever you used to go to the doctor's office, you got a shot. What did they give you? They gave you a sucker. They rewarded you for your good behavior.
Damn, you're
So what
right.
do? We reward ourselves for our good behavior. We reward ourselves with food whenever we get a promotion. And I want to say this, it's really not about the food. Let me say that. It's really not about the food that you eat. You can eat whatever you want. It's why you're eating it, right? I I still love ice cream. I still love chips. I still love candy. I still love all of the things. But why? It all has a connection, right? And I
Yeah,
gave the example of my grandmother. I Just to be transparent, I love salt and vinegar chips. Like that's my go-to.
right.
But the connection there is that my grandmother would always have salt and vinegar chips waiting at her house for me whenever I got home from school. So there's a nostalgic feeling that pulls me back to that place. So
Mm-hmm.
in those moments where I'm craving salt and vinegar chips, it could be that I want to feel comforted because it made me feel comforted, it made me feel seen, it made me feel loved.
Oh, wow. That
And
was it right there.
yeah,
Seen and loved.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you are amazing. I'm so glad I reached out to you. We have a comment from Keisha. She said, so I watched this TikTok that this lady said because she didn't have a lot of money, she received welfare benefits. So she always had food to reward her kids with.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so yeah, and essentially what happens is that we teach our children what we were taught, right? And when we don't know any better, it's difficult for us to teach them anything different. So our parents, they didn't know any, like, they didn't know that this was going to come back to bite us in our butts, right? They didn't know that making us sit down to finish our whole plate was going to make us want to overeat later and it cause insecurities within ourselves and cause for us to not show up in our full, like they didn't know that this was going to be the implications of that simple, quote unquote, simple thing, but it did, right? And so, as parents and as aunties, I'm an auntie, I'm not a parent yet, but it's
Mhm.
important that as we get this information, that we really start to teach our children something different so that they're not
Mm.
running to food as a reward, so that they're not struggling with the insecurities that we have now, and we're just trying to crawl ourselves out of the hole of.
Right.
So yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about the tools. This is the meat and potatoes. Everyone, again, go back into this comment section and you'll be able to click on Abby's live links. She on her website, she has a section that talks about how to overcome 4 proven steps to help clients overcome food cravings. So
Hmm.
it's a free checklist and it's going to reveal unapologetic truth behind your cravings and how to plan around them.
Yes.
So what she said, what you'll learn inside is why. See, I love this page. Why you may be using food as an escape. Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how to become a mindful eater. That really stuck out to me,
Hmm.
and how to no longer sabotage your health goals by overeating.
Yeah. So I think this mindful piece um comes into play simply, like I said earlier, whenever you start to be aware. I think this a lack, and even scripture says that my people perish from a lack of knowledge, right? So wherever there is
Mm,
no knowledge, then how can we start to make different choices? So I think you being aware of what's triggering me. Am I triggered because something happened at work? Am I triggered because someone said something to me? So understanding like maybe what a trigger is, understanding, am I eating this because I'm hungry? Or am I eating this because I'm in need of something else? Is an emotional need not being met at this moment? And oftentimes what we're really seeking are these, I call them primal needs. I need to feel loved. I need to feel seen. I need to feel heard.
ooh,
I need to feel trusted. Right. And so when we really get to the root of it, it really goes down to some of those primal needs. Maybe I'm not feeling seen at work, or maybe I'm not feeling seen at home. So therefore, I'm just going to go. I'm gonna go to the pantry and see what I can find to kind of suppress this feeling. Or
Okay.
so it's all about being aware. That's what mindfulness means. It's about you being aware and asking yourselves questions in the midst of you attempting to eat something.
Okay. Story time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share this story because I really don't give a damn if this ex watches this or not. I don't care, but I'm gonna say this. Okay. Okay. So, ex boyfriend. This was a long time ago. When I say he was the greediest man I ever met in my entire life, he was so greedy.
Mm-hmm.
He literally his low key, I used to call behind his back in my head that he was a dumpster. He just would eat. It was to the point, it was definitely gluttony, and it was disgusting. I was so turned off by it. This is way before me going to therapy. I couldn't connect the I didn't even have that self-awareness.
Yeah.
But I do remember how he used to say how abusive his father
Mm-hmm.
was at the time. Extremely. I won't go into those details,
Mm-hmm.
but it was horrific. And then it spilled over into his work. And it seemed like he was repeating the cycle that he had told me about what his father had said and
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm.
And he was having a hard time at work.
Yeah.
So we'll be sleeping, and it could be 2, 3 in the morning. He would get up and make a full plate of food.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand it. And I'm not small by any means. I weigh 110 pounds now. I'm
Yeah.
lying.
Even if you
Lies,
don't, it's okay. Even if you don't, I don't either.
right? But even from my size, and I can eat now, but I was
Yeah.
so disgusted. But like I said, I didn't have the self-awareness like I have now.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought there was something just different. Like how can you wake up in the middle of the night and have a full meal like as if it was 7 o'clock p.m.? I
Yeah.
didn't get it. But he
Mm-hmm.
was so stressed.
Yeah. And for some people, that really is a big issue. And that's where we start talking more about eating disorders, right? So, binge eating is on the line of an eating disorder, and it takes more mental mental work. All of it
Mm.
is mental, right?
Mhm.
All of it is really mindset, but binge eating is on that line of like having an eating disorder versus
Mm.
emotional eating. It's not a disorder, it's a habit, that has been created because at some point in life it has served us, right?
Mm.
It served us because it helps us to distract. It serves us because it helps us to avoid. And so, um, yeah, that I would probably classify that. I'm not a professional. I did
Right.
not diagnose, but it sounds more like an intensive eating disorder
Mhm.
that goes beyond emotional eating.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your toolbox, you also talk about how to create a mini temptation
Mm-hmm.
routine
I
that
love that.
places small boundaries between you and your food cravings.
Yes. I love that. I just actually walked one of my clients through this. I just told you I just got out of a coaching session. I just did
Yes.
this with one of my clients. And I love doing this because oftentimes we don't feel like we have options. And then whenever we don't feel like we have options, we settle for what's there, right? So whenever you don't feel like you have an option, you do go for the food because you don't know what else to do. Like you just don't have any other tools. So yeah, go ahead.
I just had a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
No, you finish. I can wait. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
What you just said, you see how that translates when you said how, well, if you don't have any options, you just settle for what's there or you just settle for food. That's how it can translate in our relationships as well,
Oh
like
yeah.
romantic relationships.
That's what I'm saying. It all connects because if you're settling for food, you're going to settle in relationships. You're going to settle on your job. You're going to settle in every aspect of your life. It doesn't just limit your eating habits or your health. It impacts every area, because if you're settling in one area, it's going to hit every aspect for sure.
The domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, my mind is blown on that. That's the gem. Okay, that's going to be on my highlight reel right there.
Yeah, yeah.
All
This thing
right.
of settling.
Yeah.
Um,
This was an awesome connection right here. Um, she said, "Hey y'all, it sounds like emotional eating contributes a lot to the people on my
yeah.
600-pound life."
First of all, I love that show. And yes. And when you look at their stories, a lot of them had very traumatic backgrounds. I don't know
Mm,
anyone I've seen who hasn't had like some type of trauma happen as they were growing up. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of that, and they turned to food because of that traumatic upbringing that they had.
facts.
Yeah.
I probably am the only person that has not seen that show.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but
It's
I heard it's very good. I used to watch Intervention
mm-hmm.
faithfully, and you see where instead of the food, they will use addiction, whether if it's drugs or
Yep.
alcohol. So again, I see how it all ties in. If you don't deal with what's going
Mhm.
on here
Yep.
or here, that it comes out in other ways, whether you're on 600-pound life or intervention, because 9 times out of 10, every person on that show in intervention had a traumatic
Absolutely.
event.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
only difference between uh intervention in my 600-pound life is that eating is more, it's a more normalized addiction, but it's still very much of an addiction, just as it would be if you were smoking something, like it's an addiction for a lot of people. And so it's just, the
Mhm.
only difference is that one of them is socially accepted and then one of them is not.
I was just gonna say that the food is definitely socially acceptable. You know,
Mhm.
there's a few of them I've learned that are socially acceptable addictions,
Mhm.
whether if it's the food, even alcohol, because you're
Uh-huh.
not gonna be frowned upon for drinking alcohol.
Yep.
Workaholics,
Yes.
same thing.
Yes.
Sexaholics,
Yes.
uh, they're all socially acceptable, but
Mhm.
there's still the root.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
root or unrecognized root.
Yeah. Getting to the root. So that's something that I help my clients do, is really get to the root of like, why is this an issue? What does this
Mhm,
particular food do for you? So
mhm.
it's really good.
Let's see. This is what I wanted to know about the 4 questions you should ask yourself before you eat in order to better understand the difference between cravings and real hunger. Now, you don't have to give all of them because we still want people to go and sign up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe if you want to give one,
Yeah. I'll give two. I'll give two.
great compromise.
So the first question, I believe that before you eat anything, especially as you are recognizing that, hey, emotional eating may be something that I do more frequently than what I think. And you really are trying to like, okay, decipher, am I hungry or is this really a craving? The first thing that you have to ask yourself is simply, am I really hungry? And what does hunger actually look like, right? And so, just one pro tip here is that hunger is never something that comes on suddenly. So, if you instantly become hungry, it's more than likely not true hunger. It's that you're craving something. True hunger is a sudden, it creeps up on you, not suddenly, it creeps up on you slowly, right? It's a slow build. So that's what true hunger actually feels like. And that's what it looks like. So that's an easy way to understand, am I truly
Wow.
hungry, or am I maybe just craving something? Are
Whoa.
you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I guess when I crave the French vanilla ice cream with brownies, that's not hunger.
More, uh,
I'm joking, kind of.
okay.
No.
Oh, that's, you really want me to answer? And there's this thing of sugar addiction too that that can, especially for sugar, it's like one of those things that really can take you on a whirlwind if you're not
Mm.
careful. Um,
Ooh.
so yeah, number one is asking yourself if you're hungry. If you are not hungry, what do I really need? That's question number two. What do I really need? Am I not feeling seen at work? Am I not feeling heard? So this is going back to some of those primal needs again, right? Am I not feeling seen? Am I not feeling trusted? Am I not feeling heard or loved? Asking yourself some of those questions so that you can really get to the bottom of what you really need. Maybe you just need to take a break. I was just having a conversation with one of my clients, and not to tell her business, but she found herself overeating sitting at her desk, and she overate some nuts, right? She ate a whole bag of like peanuts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to identify it's not that she was really hungry in that moment, but what she really needed was that, or what she recognized was that her work was overwhelming. She didn't know what to do because she didn't have options. So she sat there and ate. So we came up with a mini temptation routine for her for things that she can do instead of eating. One of those things includes her getting up, physically removing herself from her desk, because sometimes your environment can be triggering to you, and go taking a walk. That's just one of the things that she'll do whenever she starts to crave whatever that thing is, whenever she feels overwhelmed. So,
I love
yeah,
that.
give yourself options.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Before I have another transparent moment,
yeah.
for everyone listening, if you love anything that you've heard and you'd love to support my channel, and if you'd like to buy me a coffee for my next podcast, I already put a link in the description box, and it'll take you right over to buymeacoffee.com. You can buy your girl a coffee,
I'm
support
gonna
the
buy you a
content.
coffee. I'm gonna buy you a coffee. I am.
Oh, too cool. Transparent moment. Oh, I have so many. And I'm going to share all of this with people because I want people to understand you're not in this alone. We
Yeah.
have a coach on here. This is what she specializes in.
I am her. She is me. I still have,
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I already feel that Black women, we hold our emotions so tight
Mm-hmm.
and we become these super Black women. Little did we know we're all experiencing the same thing and there's healing in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Community is everything.
So I am talking to one of my friends, and we were discussing work. And oh man, we were going in. I had a list, I already had my shopping list. And as we were getting into the conversation, subconsciously, and I'm talking to her while I'm going up and down the produce section, the fresh food. And as the conversation was, we were getting into it. Next thing I knew, I saw myself in the ice cream
Mm-hmm.
freezer section.
Yep.
So now, with my self awareness that I'm developing now, and I'm going back to thinking about times I've been multiple times triggered. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, damn, I just forgot this shopping list. And I went to what was, it was a rescue. I
Yeah.
was rescuing myself instead of,
Yep.
I was rescuing myself and becoming a victim.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I'm just having these light bulb moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there we go.
Because we can't neglect that even though emotional eating isn't healthy for us
Mhm.
physically and mentally, it does still serve us in some way. Like it still is, we're finding it beneficial, or else we wouldn't continue to go back to it, right? We wouldn't
Yeah,
continue to go to the ice cream section or reach for those things if it wasn't at least helping us in some way. And it helps us to cope in a lot of ways.
it does cope. You know, yeah. Oh, we have a comment. I want to pronounce this name, but Ibasha did. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
apologies if does that sound like I pronounced it
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I hope that it's right. We're sorry if not.
Yeah, well, my apologies if it is not. I love to respect people's names.
Yeah.
But this sister said it's so easy to snack at work if you can, especially to avoid getting sleepy. I need to work on that more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. What do you suggest for people who work at home?
Oh, that's a whole different monster. Simply because, there are some different precautions that we have to take. One thing is cleaning out your pantry. Um, Getting rid of all of those things that don't serve who you are becoming, because they
Ooh.
probably serve you who as a person that you currently are, right? It serves you and it keeps you comfortable. So one thing that I do is I walk my clients through this thing, coming out of the comfort level, coming out of the comfort zone into this growth zone, right? And a piece of coming out of that comfort zone does require that you create new skills, that you take more chances on yourself. It requires that another piece, that you not allow for the opinions of others to impact you, right? And so walking out of that comfort zone looks like you doing some things that are very uncomfortable. Cleaning out your pantry is number one. Another thing is making the healthier option more accessible to you. Because think about it, a lot of times we reach for the things that are most convenient and the things that are right there. So what would it look like if you were to rearrange your pantry, rearrange your refrigerator with things that had the things in them, with things that had the foods in them that you actually needed, right? That can look like you placing fruit out on your countertop. You see it, you eat it, right? But when it's
Right.
stuffed in the refrigerator at the bottom, what happens? It spoils. We never eat it because we forget about it, out of sight, out of mind. So working from home does require that cleaning out that pantry, and making the giving yourself more access to the things that you need. That's another thing
Mm.
that I kind of walk clients through is rearranging. It takes a lot of effort, but it's so good. It really does help you to kind of shift your whole lifestyle.
Wow. Well, can you give this sister another? Oh, she did say how her name is pronounced. Let's see. I'm so glad. She said, "No worries. My name is pronounced Ibi
Abida shit.
Abita shit."
Yeah, Abida shit.
I love it.
Me too.
I love Abita shit. And
Yes.
yes, now I can pronounce it. Thank you for the correction. We appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you.
So, what about someone, and if you're working at your desk like Abita shit, other than walking away from snacking, is there anything else that she could have done or anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, again, giving yourself options. So doing maybe it's you journaling or doing like small things, placing some obstacles again between you and the craving. So you crave a cookie. Instead of going straight for the cookie, what can I do instead? Maybe I journal for 10 minutes or take a break. Maybe I um look at my calendar, right? Or do place some simple obstacles between yourself and the craving. And this is the key. It's not that you can't have the cookie at the end of your routine, right? Whatever your routine is, what I teach is the main point is for you to not feel shame and guilt around what you eat. So it's not about what you eat. It's really improving your relationship with food so that what you eat, and when you do eat it, you're not feeling shameful about it. And so the importance of building out this routine is so that over time it's going to become more important for you to complete this mini temptation routine. It's going to become more important for you to do that versus you actually getting to eat that craving.
Wow. My mind is blown. I
Yeah.
love what you said about creating a block, so you're not going exactly a
Yeah.
beeline to the food.
Yeah.
And what also stuck out was about journaling, even if it's for 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. I feel if I had that tool,
Mm-hmm.
there'd probably be a lot of curse words in the journal, but at
Hey.
least I know why.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So you can start to literally ask yourself, you know, this craving is here. So what's really going on? Um, and what in the another important piece of why this temptation routine is so important is because a lot of people who do struggle with this don't have any boundaries. So it's this thing of self control, this thing of not having any self boundaries. So we go for the instant gratification. I want the food, I'm going to go get the food without really trying to feel the emotion, without really trying to delay the process. It's just like, I want it, I need it, I'm going to eat it. And so it really comes down to you making a choice. And this is what I just told my client. It comes down to you making a choice. Are you going to immediately go for the cookie, or are you going to decide to go throughout this routine that we just created and try something different? Yes, it's a pull. Yes, it's a stretch. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But
right.
think about the future you. Who are you wanting to become?
Oh,
Thinking about the implications and the consequences of what will happen if and when I do give in to this cookie. Will I feel bloated? Will I feel discomfort? Will I feel sleepy? Will I feel all of these other emotions that may come up if I do give in?
oh
So
my God, that is so good. Ah, I love it. It's by it, oh my God. I can't pronounce it. I forgot already. This sister said, I agree. She says self-discipline is key.
for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that she's loving this combo, and the working from home struggle has been real. I drink more water to curb my cravings.
Hmm.
What is your suggestion on that with the drinking more water? Because in my mind, yeah, it does curb the cravings, but
You
she's
still want it.
still putting some, there's still an oral fixation. I've learned
Yeah.
that when I was going to Weight Watchers,
Hmm.
because some people said I would drink more water. Some people would say that they would chew gum. And
Hmm.
our leader at the time said, don't do the gum chewing. You're still putting something to your mouth, hand to
Right.
mouth.
Right. So yeah, even if it's a healthier option, you're still emotionally eating, even though it's some. So that's why I say give yourself options. Find other ways to self-soothe other than eating. That can be you taking a walk around the block, or you exercising, or you reading a book, or you meditating, or just taking a break, playing with the dog, playing with the kids.
Mm.
Finding something outside of eating to kind of self-soothe. Finding new coping skills is what really needs to happen. Finding new ways to cope with overwhelm, to cope with stress, to cope with boredom. So yeah.
Mm. This is some good stuff. This is some good stuff. So, everyone, make sure I'm going to drop Gabby's link again. There are more goodies on that page, but you have to go to the page. Please make sure and sign up for her newsletter. I've signed up for already. It, it's instant. She instantly drops gems. So I love what you said, and we're going to talk about this before we close out on your Instagram. Matter of
Mhm.
fact, let me read it now.
Yeah.
You
Remind me because I don't remember.
I will remind you, you made a post, how to begin owning your own narrative.
Mm,
When I read that, that resonated with me. And you just mentioned it again. You can have the comfort food, but think of the long term. What is going to happen? Are you going to own the narrative of the immediate self soothing,
mhm.
or
Yep,
creating boundaries for yourself?
absolutely. And also,
Wow.
I know one thing that comes up for a lot of women is, we can't neglect the fact that we have family. And whenever we consider making a lifestyle shift, oftentimes our families are supportive or they're not so supportive. So we also in with that, owning your narrative also looks like you making a decision to change and to shift to your you said getting your shift together, like women getting their shift together, right? um you making a decision to shift in spite of the support that you may have.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes what happens is that some women, and I've had this with a few clients, is that some people are so afraid to shift and to change because they're afraid of what other people are going to say or what other people are
Mm.
going to think about them deciding to make this new decision for themselves. So also owning your narrative is just making a decision to do this for you in spite of the support you feel like you have or don't have.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's some good stuff. Good stuff. I hope you will come back
Of
again.
course. Yeah.
Really?
I do
Don't
too.
play because
Yeah.
we have each other's numbers. I will
Yeah.
definitely, before we get off, and we can do this tonight as a snippet or whenever you come back, I'd love for you to talk about your podcast. We
Yeah.
have another Black
Oh
podcaster,
yeah. Yeah.
and it's called Don't Touch My Health.
Yeah. That's my baby.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been podcasting for the past 2 years. It's been amazing, an amazing journey. So on my podcast, we talk all things healthy habits, lifestyle, and faith. And we really talk about how um God really wants us to live like this multifaceted life, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't live this multifaceted life if we are not healthy in mind, body, and spirit. And so I talk about the eating habits. I talk about the woman that you need to become. And I have some amazing guests that have come on that have shared their journey with their health and wellness, and it's amazing. It's an amazing community, and it's my baby. Like I always say that this is the most consistent I have ever been with anything in my life. This podcast, I have not missed a week in 2 years. I don't know how. It has to be the grace of God because typically Gabby is like in and out, but I do it because I know the women who listen to it, they actually get something from it. And so I do it for them. Honestly, that's what really keeps me going. And I'm sure you probably find the same for you at times. Like your community is what keeps you going. So yeah.
Indeed, indeed. When I started to become or share my story, and it just blossomed into this,
Mhm.
and it's healing for me as well.
Oh yeah.
You get it? You understand that feeling?
Yeah, yeah, because it's like you're able to share parts of you with people who can't really talk back to you, and it's just like you're just like letting it all out, and it is very freeing. It is,
It is
and
freeing
there's no
because
judgment. So
that's the part right there. There's
yeah,
no judgment. And more
Mhm.
importantly, I'm at a point, and I'm still getting better at it, that I don't care what people say.
Not at all.
That I know I'm not the only person. I
Hmm.
used to think that just the childhood that I had, I thought I was solely the only person on this entire planet.
Yeah.
That was just my limited beliefs,
Hmm.
And then more I'm opening up, and I'm realizing that a lot of people have the same shared experience. It's something else. And again, it goes back to Black people, especially us sisters, no, and brothers too. We don't talk about our emotions.
Absolutely.
We just don't. And it's easier to have this facade, because
Hmm.
I wore that for years, and I'm still peeling it off.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love how you show up for your people, Gabby.
You too. You too.
Thank
It
you.
really is inspiring.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
learned so much tonight, and I'm definitely going to reach out to you again to come back.
Absolutely. I would love to.
So everyone, Gabby, guess what?
What's-
You are a Black girl that has her shift together.
Oh, yay.
Everyone, please, if you're watching right now, take a screenshot of Gabbi's podcast. It's called Don't Touch My Health. And where can they find you on your platforms?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Gabby Athletics _ Follow me now because my name will be changing. So you want to make sure that you're following me before I change my name.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my main platform. I'm also on YouTube, Gabby Athletics. Also changing my name there. So again, make sure you subscribe. And I'm changing it because I'm doing a completely new rebrand. Gabby Athletics was who I was whenever I was a fitness trainer, but now I'm crossing over into or I have crossed over into a different space, and so some things will be changing. It's my name being one of them, but still the same person talking about the same stuff.
Oh, okay. Wait. Gabby Athletics. There it is.
Yep, Gabby Athletics _ on Instagram, and Gabby Athletics on YouTube, and Don't Touch My Health podcast.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, you look so pretty.
Thank you.
Let me drop that link right now to the YouTube channel. And I just subscribed as well. Let me drop it right there. All right, everyone, follow this wonderful sister. She is truly amazing. And make sure and follow me, please. Okay, there we go. I have it in the comment section. And make sure everyone subscribe to both of our channels. Click the notification bell. Follow us on our audio podcast. Yes. And we will see you all soon. And make sure contact Gabby, because she's taking new clients.
Yes.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you so much, Gabby. You are
Thanks
everything.
for having me, Ursula. It's been a pleasure.
Good deal. Good night, everyone.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping. Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together.